Two European countries figured to give the U.S. squad the most trouble. The Belgian team with two world champions, Georges Jobet in the 500 class and Eric Gabors in the 250 class, were rated extremely tough. Their 125 rider, Mark Velkeniers, finished 9th in the 87 125 World Championship. The Dutch team was headed by former Unadilla 250 Grand Prix winner, Kees van der Vet. He rode the 500 class. 1987 125cc world champion, John Vandenberg, rode a 250 for the Dutch team. Former 125 rider, Davy Strebos, rode in the 125 class. In addition to the Belgians and the Dutch, there were 14 other countries, all with excellent riders, shooting for the World Championship title that had gone to the U.S. for the previous 6 years. To win, they'd have to tame one of the roughest tracks in the world, Unadilla. When it's dry, it's tough and unforgiving. When it's muddy and slippery, it borders on impossible. The first moto was for 125s and 500s. The 250 riders watched this one from the sidelines. The gate drops. The 41st annual Motocross to Nations, the World Team Championship of Motocross, was underway on a muddy, slippery Unadilla track. Before things could get sorted out, there was a pileup in the first corner. The mud had already taken its first victims. Hannah on the 125 and Ward on the 500 snuck through on the inside and barely avoided the carnage. Number 10, Kurt Lundqvist from Finland on a 500 was the early leader. He was followed by number 43, Kees van der Vet, also on a 500. And there, number 45, that's Davy Strebos from the Netherlands. He led the 125 class. There's Bob Hannah. He's being passed by Georges Jobet. And look at the roost from Jobet's rear wheel. It splattered Hannah from the top of his helmet all the way down his flak jacket. You had to feel sorry for the riders out on a track like Unadilla in the mud and the rain. Before the moto, Jeff Ward talked about attacking Unadilla in the muck and the mire.
Well, in the rain, the goggles are really important. Make sure nothing happens to that. So you keep those on at all times. And you gotta be a little more cautious because it is slippery. And being on a 500, I'd rather be on one than ride behind one. I know the roost is going to be really substantial.
From the opening lap, Jeff Ward rode without goggles. That was his way of coping. That's Davy Strebos trying to pick up his bike in the slippery Unadilla mud. Strebos was the leader in the 125 class. That spill by the Dutchman really jumbled up the standings. As a result, the new 125 class leader was Frenchman Jean-Michel Bayle. Five-time 500cc world champion Roger DeCoster, now team manager for the U.S. squad, thinks Bayle will someday be number one in the world. Time will tell. Welcome back to ESPN's Best of American Motorcycle Racing. If you've just joined us, this is not Mudbug Racing. You're watching the final laps of the first of 3 motos at the 1987 Motocross to Nations. You know, the Motocross to Nations has been going on for 43 years. It's acknowledged as the Olympics of motocross. Each event is remembered for the performers and the performances. Let's take this opportunity to look back at the 1985 event. That year was significant because it marked the first time for the 3-moto format. We begin our flashback into history with 5-time world champion Roger DeCoster giving us his interpretation of the new format.
Well, the new format is 3 riders per country, riding each in a different class, a 125, a 250, and a 500. And the scoring is done individually in each class is scored individually. A rider could be, for example, in 4th place on a 125, and he still could score for 1st place for his class. And then they make the best, they take the best 6 results out of the 9 heats.
Geldorf, West Germany, served as host country to the new 3-moto format event. A huge crowd of European enthusiasts turned out for the festivities, including a large contingent of American supporters. They all came to see if the Americans could make it 5 in a row. Riding for the U.S. were Team Honda's Ron Lechien on a 125, Team Kawasaki's Jeff Ward on a 250, and Team Honda's David Bailey on a 500cc machine. As was expected, when the gate dropped, in all 3 motos, the big bore 500s stormed to the front, followed by a mixture of 250s and 125s. In the first moto, Ron Lechien, number 3, suffered a horrible start, but still managed to work his way up to 12th overall and 3rd in the 125 class. In motos 2 and 3, Lechien got good hole shots and finished 1st in class on his 125. His best overall finish was an incredible 4th in the 3rd moto. In the 250 class, it was all rider number 2, Jeff Ward. The Kawasaki rider won the class in all 3 motos. His overall finishes were 5th in moto number 1 and 3rd in motos 2 and 3. The 500 class provided the stiffest competition, with newly crowned 500cc world champion David Thorpe of Great Britain taking the wins in motos 1 and 3. He finished 2nd in moto number 2. David Bailey, the U.S. 500 entry, settled for a 2nd in moto number 1, 4th in moto number 2, and 6th in moto number 3. With 3 motos and 3 classes all mixed together, scoring and keeping track of team points was a nightmare. Regardless, when the last checkered flag was thrown, the U.S. team came out on top. The new format was heralded as a huge success by all. Despite the new format, though, it was clear we were deeply embedded in the era of U.S. domination. We're back to the year 1987, the motocross nation's first visit to the US of A. We're on the final lap of moto number 1. Rider number 3, American Bob Hanna, is currently running 4th in the 125 class. Now, 4th place under normal circumstances is not too shabby, but this was team competition, and the teams from Belgium and the Netherlands were putting it all together. Dutch rider Kees van der Ven was leading until he was passed by Belgium's 500cc world champion, George Jobé. Jeff Ward, the American entry in the 500 class, was inside of the leaders and was holding down the number 3 position. Unfortunately for the gritty Californian, the laps wore down and he could not improve upon his position. Belgian rider George Jobé crossed the finish line with Kees van der Ven, the Dutch rider, in tow. Finishing 3rd in the first moto was American Jeff Ward. Checking the results for Moto 1, George Jobé, the 500cc world champion, was the winner, followed by Kees van der Ven in 2nd. Ward, with a tremendous effort from the middle of the pack, finished 3rd. In the 125 class, the prediction of a 3-way championship battle between the U.S., Belgium, and the Netherlands was right on. Jean-Michel Bayle from France took the number 1 spot. But look at the next 3 positions: Holland, Belgium, and the USA. In team scoring after the first moto, Belgium with a 1st and a 3rd, and the Netherlands with a pair of 2nds were tied for the lead. The U.S. squad with a 3rd and a 4th were within striking distance